There she goes with the strangest clothes. Oh, I hate you. There she blows, some stranger I've known. Oh, I hate you. That wishing well won't stop.
I started, my first interest in music started when I was probably like 8 years old. I had a little Casio keyboard that would play like these Walt Disney songs, and it had these little lights, and so it would like show you how to play them. And so at that young age, I remember, playing the Casio and having this feeling that I wanted to someday like move people with music, which is a very strange thing to think when you're fucking 8 years old playing Walt Disney fucking songs, but so music for me started very early, like a desire to consume music, and then my dad bought me a guitar. I was really shit. My brother got really sick, almost died, and he got really good. And so I was like, fuck you, Josh, who's my brother. And so I started playing more. And then around like the age of 12, 11, I started writing songs, and that's how it started, So I started, let's say when I was 12 writing, and the reason why I started is because music felt like it was something I was supposed to do,
No.
It's a really loaded question. Challenges, fucking challenges, mental illness, trauma, like deaths of very, very dear friends when I was young. I have a fucked up back. I'm missing a disc in my spine. I was in a fucking van accident in Spain on tour playing Trompe Le Monde by the Pixies, and could have easily died on that trip. It seems with every record I've done, there has to be something traumatic that's happened to me. Except like one record, the news, like I just got married, so that wasn't like traumatic or bad or anything, And then with this new record, I recently kicked a 12-year opium addiction, and so that's really positive, But yeah, those are the things that I've dealt with being a musician, I suppose. But I'd probably still deal with those things if I wasn't a musician. It's just life isn't easy, It's a very difficult question, man. There's just been a lot of ups and downs, a lot of hard times, a lot of good times. But like I said, I think the fact that I'm still alive, I'm still here, and I'm still doing it means that I must be offering the world something worthwhile, Me and my wife, the doctors told us that we couldn't have children. And so I found myself in Santiago, in the Basque Country, where they say St. James is buried. And after they said I couldn't have kids, I found myself, me and my wife found ourselves in that city a whole lot in just like a 4-month period. And every day I'd get up, or 3 times a day, or fucking 8 times a day, I would go to the cathedral and think about miracles and think about, spiritual things. When we got home from that last trip a month later, we were pregnant with my first son. So miracles do happen, and science is bullshit. But at this church, there's a statue of St. James, and there's 24 musicians around him, like all getting ready, like tuning up or sitting around, And as soon as James lifts his hands, the apocalypse the biblical apocalypse will begin. I don't know how I feel about a biblical apocalypse, but I firmly believe that apocalypse it's an important thing to live your everyday life. Like, let's say you're like in a relationship and your girlfriend or boyfriend doesn't like a certain thing you do. If you don't have this sense of apocalypse, if you don't shed that skin and become a better person, then the love that you have in that relationship is not going to last. And so I think the idea of an apocalypse of shedding your skin like a snake should happen probably every day if you want to, if you're striving to be a good human. Well, everybody's recording their music on computers and everything's modern and all this stuff. And so I decided that I would get 24 musicians together, and I'll never let the world know who they are. And we all made promises to each other that we would be anonymous. We recorded in a barn in East Texas. Before the recording, I didn't let any of them hear those songs. One day in the barn we rehearsed, and then the next day we recorded the whole album. So we recorded it in 24 hours. And so the musicians only really knew the songs for, I guess, like 48 hours, But it worked out really well, because like on some songs I might have like 12 guitars and 4 bass players, or on other songs I might have like 5 drummers. And even though they didn't know and they might be making mistakes here and there was so many of them that all their little mistakes, or all the little ways that they played, it all came together in this beautiful way, I felt. And so it was just important to me to gather human souls in the same place and create something. I mean, I'd written the songs, but create something new together. It didn't involve computers, and it didn't involve practicing, and it didn't involve, we were making music, we were all improvising at the same time. And I'm really happy. I'm really happy with it. And it could have been a fucking disaster. And it maybe is a bit of a disaster, but it's a beautiful disaster, in my opinion. I really like it a lot. But yeah, that's how the record was done. And that just seems, with some interviews I've done and people I've talked to, it's a very uncommon way of doing stuff nowadays, which is a shame, but that's just the way it is,
There she blows, some stranger I've known. Oh, I hate you.
I never contacted record labels. I never contacted like anybody in the business or whatever. And I went through like a period of homelessness and wrote some really good songs. Some of them like ended up on the Gospel of Progress. And actually some of them end up on a lot of my other records too. But out of nowhere, I was living in Austin, Texas. I had no job. My life was going fucking nowhere. And a friend of mine, he played one of my songs on the BBC, and some record labels heard it, and they liked what they heard. And my life, it went from like, I was going nowhere fucking fast, to within weeks, they paid for my passport, they paid off warrants for my arrest, because the state of Texas wanted me for some illegal shit. They bought my plane ticket, and I went to London for a bit, and then they shipped me up to Manchester, where I recorded the Gospel of Progress. Maybe that's the advice I would give artists, is fuck fame, fuck having your name known. Like, none of that in the end matters. What truly matters is the art, and even above that, it's the culture of art. And another piece of advice is, people need to stop shamelessly promoting themselves. Like the whole Facebook thing and the Instagram and the Bandcamp, and there's just something about it to me that just seems very cheap. Let's say like Van Gogh, he's a true artist. I'm not in that category. He's a true artist, but he didn't spend his life worrying about being famous or worrying about promoting his art or that type of thing. But here we are, and we have museums for him, and he's one of the most famous fucking artists that we have in the you know, people know who Van Gogh is, you know. When you are promoting yourself so much and you're posting so much on social media and you're doing all these things, you become one of everyone. And when you become one of everyone, you in a sense become nothing. And so when you step away and you do things in a different way and you don't follow the pack of sheep, I think greater things can happen, you know. I don't know how to tell a person how to start, how to make money from music or to make a living. But even if it gets to that point and people are able to do that, and God bless them for doing that, to be able to keep that up is fucking daunting, man. And I made a lot of records, and I've been doing this for quite some time, you know. And the fact that it's still fucking scary. I think art and fear are a very thin line. It's like the yin and yang, you know. Like, to be an artist, like, on the one hand, you have to have a foot, like, in reality. But then on the other hand, you have to have a foot in the unknown of what the possibilities could be, you know. Like Beowulf, like going back to, like, these really heroic stories of heroes. And the hero, he'll like go down, like, into a cave, and there'll be a dragon. And the dragon can kill him. But if he kills the dragon's skull will be made of like it'll be a diamond, a huge diamond skull. And so I think with music and with art, and maybe with life, but we're talking about art now, is that you go down into that cave and there's the fear of failure, there's the fear of it not working out. And that fear is the dragon slaying you, you know, it burning you to death. But there's that hope that you can go down there into the depths of fucking hell, in the depths of mystery, and you might actually slay the dragon, and you might be able to come out of the underworld with something invaluable, you know, because we all want to come out of the cave with a diamond skull, you know what I'm saying? We all can't do it, but that's the hope, you know. And not just, again, like, not just in art, like in life, in relationships, and in so many things. We go into these things with the possibility of failure, but we do these things because the opposite of failure is success. And whether success for some people might be money, or success is being a good person, all those things are encompassed in that, you know. I just hang out with my kids, and my kids will talk about anything, so I speak to them about these very heavy concepts, but they're so young, they don't know what the fuck I'm saying, you know. But a lot of times I'll speak of these heavy things to him about art and the world and spirituality, and it's good to have, you know, people like that around that you can speak of really heavy, high fucking concepts, and they don't understand it, but in their innocence, they can tell you things, you can learn things from them that you might not ever have thought of, you know. Those are the only constants in life, man. Death, art, and taxes.
Will shake, but you know I will not wait, 'cause I hate you.